The world will not wait for us. We have to catch up with the world, and we have to meet up with what is going on. We're not here as business people. We've carefully chosen the word. We're here as entrepreneurially minded people. And an entrepreneur is someone that will never call himself so. He's someone that is happy to work while others are partying. An entrepreneur's drug is success. He's addicted to it. The entrepreneur knows one simple fact: I will make it. Maybe not immediately, but absolutely and definitely. You have to hustle. You have to think outside the box to make things happen. When it seems impossible and difficult for anything to happen, you have to continue to go on. Even when you are beaten down and you need to be relentless. Whether you win or you learn, you never lose. Even in losing, you have learned something. An entrepreneur knows that he will succeed if he remains focused and if he develops the staying power. It is the spirit of the entrepreneur that moves the economy of states and nations. It is the spirit of the entrepreneur that creates jobs for our teeming youth. It is the spirit of the entrepreneur, the engine of the economy. You can turn to be one today. You can be an employer of labor rather than go about dusting your CV and giving to people. I believe that after this conference, you should be able to take on something. We are here to ignite the fire in us so that we can go out there and burn. And I trust that, God willing, we shall live here satisfied that we have achieved something. I want to end by saying, in the end and at the end of this program, we will be our choices. The choices we make will determine whether we succeed or we don't succeed. But I'd like to say, build yourself a great story, because time is short and very soon we'll not be youths anymore. Even though we continue being youths at 70 and we deceive ourselves that youth is in the mind, but you know too well that once you cross 40, you cannot play in a national football team, and that disqualifies you from being a youth. I wish you fruitful deliberation. Take your time and ask questions. God bless you.
Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen and noble participants, I think it's absolutely imperative that we put our hands together once again for a man who rose to the pinnacle of his career by becoming the chairman of Akwa Ibom Tourism Boards and Hotels. 2004 to 2007, this man oversaw the practices of hospitality in Akwa Ibom State. I think he deserves all our applause. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, at this point, we will be having a goodwill message to be taken by an elegant lady, a lady that radiates with finesse and of course pomp and pageantry with what. This lady has also been to very many places, and of course she will be telling us what she knows best by rendering to us, and of course presenting the goodwill message from His Excellency, the Governor of Akwa Ibom State, Mr. Udom Emmanuel. Her name is Miss Ellen Opagere. Listen, please, I beg your pardon, I didn't get that right. Thank you very
much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. A distinguished guest, I'm just going to stand on all protocols duly observed. My name is Mrs. Helen Eno Obareki, and I'll be reading the goodwill message that His Excellency has so graciously written on this occasion of Ignite 2017. Excuse me. This is from the Office of the Governor, and the goodwill message reads, on behalf of the government and the good people of Akwa Ibom State, I send you my hearty felicitations on the occasion of Ignite 2017, which is a global platform initiated by the Royalty Group as part of its corporate social responsibility. I am particularly thrilled by the vision of Ignite 2017, which mirrors the foundational and philosophical thrust of our Dakada campaign, which is to encourage the youth to achieve purpose by changing their thinking and igniting their passion for entrepreneurship. It is heartwarming to note that Royalty Group has been touching and impacting lives, giving back to the community, and acting as change agents, especially within the youth population. My government places total premium on youth development by exposing them to new thinking and approaches to help them rise to the faith of their greatness, and correspondingly applying the skills and talents that God Almighty has generously endowed in them to earn a living through the works of their hands and minds, as opposed to begging for a living. We will continue to provide them with the tools and training that will equip them to be competitive for the jobs and opportunities of the 21st century, technology-driven and innovative world. I salute you for the vision of Ignite 2017 and assure you of our readiness to continue to partner with organizations, groups, and individuals who are adding value and showing through their actions and deeds that government alone cannot be the only means of ensuring growth and opportunities for our people. That, as Senator Hillary Clinton once said, it takes a village to ensure a sustainable and productive future for our people. Once again, congratulations, and I wish you happy deliberations. Signed, Udom Emmanuel, Governor, Akwa Ibom State. Thank you.
Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please may we give it up for His Excellency the Governor, Mr. Udom Emmanuel, in American song. Thank you very much. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we're gradually coming to the cardinal point of today's gathering. Of course, it is gathering, and this gathering is geared towards igniting the passion in every young entrepreneur, and of course the prospective ones here seated today. And like the progenitor had noted in his speech earlier on when he welcomed all of us, noble participants, today we will be trying to make sure that the carefully selected resource persons will find their ways in making sure that they galvanize you towards the faith of greatness. Therefore, at this juncture, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce a man who will be taking the very first keynote address today. He is a man of noble character. He's a man who has been tested and proven to be worthy of speaking to young and very promising entrepreneurs who are from the Akwa Ibom Divide. It is my pleasure to let you know that the man I will be talking to you today is a past chairman, Public and Government Affairs and Human Resources Committees of the Oil Producers Trade Sector, OPTS. This man's peerless commitment to the entrepreneurship task earned him more or less an unprecedented 100-unit housing estate located at Ajao, Lagos, named Inoyo Heaven. He is currently the president and chairman of Council, Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria, CIPN. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and very noble participants, please put your hands together as I welcome Mr. Udom Uko Inoyo. Boya Emio Boynoye Esquire. Please, Emio Boynoye, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Please be seated. I'm really happy to be here. But let me also start by expressing how I'm always amazed at the audacity, passion, and doggedness of the principal organizer of this event, Pastor Omo Eno, better known as the Governor. This is a man who has remained steadfast not only with matters concerning his family, business, and church, but also on issues impacting the next generation. So on behalf of all of you, let me join former speakers in expressing a profound gratitude to Pastor, the wife, and the team for bringing us here this morning. I know I've been given 50 minutes to speak. I hope I don't bore you within that period. But the topic I've been asked to speak on does not in any way suggest that our youths are lost. And that topic is igniting passion in our youths for self-discovery and growth. No, there is no suggestion that you are lost. The operating word here is ignite. That is bring alive. And for what purpose? Self-discovery and growth. To ignite something means that there is already an innate potential existing, but you cannot ignite something that is non-existent. As the lawyers say, nemo dat quod non habet, you cannot give what you do not have. However, before we proceed, I think it may be useful for us to understand who should really be called the youth. And I can easily adopt the definition provided by Pastor Eno. If you cannot be in Super Eagles, you are disqualified. But look at the Bible. Many who accomplished significant strides were young, very young people. Joseph, the son of Jacob, as an overseer in the house of the captain of the guard in Egypt, at what age? 17. You can go and read that up. Genesis 37, verse 2. David was only a boy when he killed the giant Goliath. 1 Samuel, Mary of Nazareth was a young virgin when she conceived our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And Timothy, how old was Timothy when he was trained by Paul? And by the way, how old was Jesus Christ when he accomplished all his works on earth? However, for today, I think we better just adopt the definition by the United Nations, even though it has a caveat. United Nations says anybody who is between ages 15 and 21. But the caveat is any member nation of the United Nations can afford to vary that definition. And that is why in Nigeria, if you go by the National Youth Policy 2009, a youth is defined as somebody between ages 18 and 35. Cut-off age for National Youth Service is what? 30. In Ghana, it's between 15 and 35. Rwanda, between 14 and 35. India, between 15 and 29. You can go and Google. But if you are above 35 and you are in this hall today, please don't be discouraged. We welcome you. But you know what makes it very sad as I reflect on this topic? Is that Nigeria has one of the largest population of youths in the world. According to Bloomberg Markets report, with a population of 182 million people in 2016, more than 50% of Nigerians are under age 30. I know what that means. Could be positive, could be negative. In an environment where there is high unemployment, where most of the youths don't have a sense of direction, what does that portend? So this gathering is a welcome development because we can't afford to signpost or leave matters of this nature only to government. We can't. All hands must be on deck to rescue this vessel, this country, and to help the 50% of 182 million Nigerians as at 2016 who are classified as youths. I consider myself privileged to have come from a stable, loving Christian home. My late father knew very early in life the importance of education. And as a young teacher here in Afaikes, was able to secure admission into a university in the United States in 1956. He was also offered a scholarship. All he needed was get yourself down to the US, 1956. Unfortunately, the cost of transportation was 200 pounds, and he could not raise that money, 200 pounds sterling. So his inability to raise 200 pounds, which I know royalty can give to me now, made him to miss taking that offer. With no one to turn to, having lost his father at age 17, what do you think he did? Because most of you will be complaining, I'm an orphan, I don't have somebody to help me. He decided to take to private tuition, and in 1959 qualified as an accountant, the result of which was published in the Daily Times. And that secured him a job, enabling him to move from foot cycle, trekking, to owning a car. He knew nothing about cars. When they took him to UTC shop, he looked at one car, he liked the face. That car was called Vanguard, and he decided to pick that car. I'm sharing this story just to let you know how fortunate I've been in life, but also to help you understand the importance of hard work and self-motivation. So my background, as you can see, positioned me for success. That's what you all think, but not completely so. Because if the truth be told, as I made entrance into the youth brackets, I completely lost focus. I was in company of friends, some of whom had already embraced drugs. In this environment, it was called marijuana. Then that was the only drug we knew. Then there was a tablet called Mandrax, sleeping tablet. Of course, alcohol, from palm wine to guguru. And these friends also, even though I was very young, some of them enjoyed the company of women. So I lost focus because I was in such a company. My journey through secondary school started from St. Patrick's College, Calabar. And after a school riot, 1972, and without my consent, I was transferred to Salvation Army Secondary School, Akai, where I come from. I come from a village called Ikotukoro, just next to Akai. Only because the principal of that school happened to have visited my parents when my matter was being discussed. Only happened to show up. I'm the one that served him Fanta. And I did not know they were presiding over my case. And when he heard about the indiscipline in St. Patrick's College, the strike action, and my senior brother was a year ahead of me, he asked my father to send me to him, that he would take charge of this unruly child. His name was Chief Etumokoko, an American trade scholar and strict disciplinarian. Even though I was restricted to the boarding school or the boarding facility, breaking of bounds, for those of you who were in boarding facility, breaking of bounds was normal for me. I knew all the roads to take. So my school certificate result was very predictable. Very predictable. Because I took school set in Akai. In mathematics exams, I sat throughout. I did not know what to write. So it was not surprising that I had F9. If there was something lower than F9, they would have given it to me. I had to return to St. Patrick's College to retake the West African School Certificate examinations. And that was when it dawned on me that my future was in jeopardy if I did not buckle up and change my ways. You know, sometimes failure is this working? You know, sometimes failure can be a powerful elixir of success. You know that? So for those of you who are experiencing failure, it could actually be your moment of ignition. And that was my own moment when I realized that without passing that WAEC exam, my future was ruined. I'm not here suggesting that you need to test failure first. If you can avoid it, please do. But if it comes, do not lose hope. My journey to where I am today began with that humiliation of having to repeat WAEC examination. Within a few months of arriving SPC, I had an opportunity to take the entrance examination into College of Technology, Calabar, Basic School, as well as Federal Government College, Ikotekpene. I passed both, but I opted to go to FGC, Ikotekpene, even though I was going to wear school uniform and be restricted. I needed that discipline. I wanted to lose my freedom so that I can be refocused. It was from FGC that I proceeded to the University of Calabar, first to study political science, like a reverend, and later to study law. I was called to the Nigerian bar as solicitor and advocate of the Supreme Court of Nigeria in 1988. I joined Mobile Producing Nigeria in 1989, having first worked with Cross River State and later Akwa Ibom State Civil Service in Calabar and Lagos respectively. My attainments in Mobile, where I have worked in the United States of America and in Belgium, and became an executive director in 2004, cannot be totally attributable to being intelligent. No, absolutely not. As you know, multinational companies hire the best, and the interview process is extremely competitive. We may all be good, but a few factors enable us to progress more than others. And this is where I want to leave you with 3 important factors that I have adopted over the years, and they have served me well. Number 1, you need to be honest to yourself. You need to be honest to yourself. I have always enjoyed the lyrics of Nigeria's great Afrobeat composer, band leader, multi-instrumentalist. You know who that is? Fela Anikulapo Kuti. I'm glad you all know, even though Pastor is here, we can talk about Fela. In a 1972 song titled Shakara Oloje, we are told of this man and woman who were threatening to fight to finish. But as it turned out, all the bravado was just noise. However, while the song could be subject to many interpretations, what stood out for me as a young fan of Fela in those days, till now, was a question. Nibolo Tijawa, that's in Yoruba, literally meaning, where are you coming from? Where are you coming from? I want to believe that majority of the people in this audience are from Akwa Ibom State. True? When you read the story of Ibibio Union by late Sir Ebert Udo Udoma, you would appreciate the thinking of our forebears who in 1938, as an indigenous African institution, was the first of its kind in those days to make scholarship available for 6 select Ibibio students to go and study overseas. That was 79 years ago. That should tell you that you come from a society which knew very early the importance of education, just as my father's story reminded me that the opportunities I took for granted were never available to him, and I will only have myself to blame should I embrace drugs and fail my examinations. And this is the same story I share with my children. I am a firm believer in the counsel of Nelson Mandela that education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. It is the shortest cut to success. And today, with similarly minded professionals, we have set up a foundation to really help the education sector in Akwa Ibom State. It's been ongoing for 10 years. Pastor Mo is one of our supporters. At the state's anniversary, which took place 3 weeks ago, foundation was honored, was one of the recipients of an award from the state government. We believe in education. We believe that every child deserves an opportunity for quality education. So my brothers and sisters, back to Shakaran, who are you? What music you listening to? Is it only that one they say pop, 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 champagne? Or if you do me, I do you, man, no vex, eh? Or what you want from the bank, I just they come from the bank. What kind of music are you listening to? Whatever music you listen to, whatever book you read, whatever company of friends you keep, it is important that you make sense out of it, just as I did with Fela Shakara, so that no one will ever have the boldness to even ask you that question, where are you coming from? No one will ever dare to say, know thyself and work hard on those things that will enable you to succeed. At this stage, I will implore you to identify your passions and pursue them towards self-actualization, but do so legitimately. Today's event convener has clearly demonstrated this as a successful entrepreneur. Number 2, do you have integrity? Because for you to succeed as an entrepreneur, you must have integrity. Happily, we still have some Nigerian adults that are not corrupt. But regrettably, there are so many Nigerian youths that are not clean. They lack integrity and are involved in one form of practice, corrupt practice or the other. You see, there is this general assumption that anybody that was born 20, 30 years ago has not experienced a culture of normality. And as such, I've come to embrace a way of life that is abnormal, a way of life that is alien to our culture. And regrettably, very painfully, sometimes they are aided by their parents. We know that some people bribe to get admission into school, sometimes kindergarten, nursery. We know that. We know that majority of our youth sort. You know what they call sorting? They sort to pass exams, some aided by lecturers. And of course, we know what happens when it comes to job to securing jobs. We also know, as a matter of fact, that it is not better at the leadership level, across board, private or public sectors. We know. There is a journalist, I enjoy reading his article. His name is Tunji Ladner. In one of his articles on this matter, he said something that moved me to tears. And let me just quote him. Corruption, according to him, is Nigeria's lingua franca, understood by all and spoken with varying degrees of fluency by a large percentage of the population. It is the transactional language of engagement in nearly every encounter and interaction among Nigerians. I would have wished this was not true. But with sadness in heart, it is regretted too. I don't know how many of you traveling from Oron to this place, Ikotekone to this place, you to this place, Ikotabasi to this place, that were checked on the road by whosoever wore a uniform and was not harassed or asked for gratification. It is almost like a lingua franca. You walk into an office, how can you get something done without incentivizing somebody? Currently, a lot of employers are suffering because of a dishonest workforce. And I'm not going to ask our host how many people he dismisses every week on account of sharp practices. It may be useful to keep a tally. Just keep data. On a weekly basis, monthly basis, how many people do you query? How many people do you find engaged in things that are not right? Why am I bringing this up? You see, there are a lot of opportunities in this country that remain unutilized or not successfully progressed because of the absence of people who can demonstrate integrity. If you go through the program, I think you'll be having people from Bank of Industry, Central Bank of Nigeria, Akwa Ibom Investment Corporation come to speak to you. I want to give you only one advice. If there are programs, and I know there are several programs begging for beneficiaries, if you get selected for any of those programs, and you know you will not be honest in the discharge of your share of responsibilities, please do not frustrate the chances of others by accepting. Do not. It is better for you to say, I decline, than for you to go forward and not follow through and thereby block the chances of others. And I'm saying this from a practical experience because about 10 years ago, Mobile Producing Nigeria had worked with an NGO called the Growing Businesses Foundation, and we brought in International Finance Corporation to provide entrepreneurial and financial support to some youths of these operating communities. There was a budget, fully funded, and there were identified beneficiaries who were provided capacity training, with some, especially those who were interested in agribusiness, being sent to a world-class farm called Songhai Farm in Porto Novo, Benin Republic. It all came to nothing. Why? Because soft loans, in some cases running into millions of naira, were taken, mismanaged, or not utilized for the purpose. Eventually, the attitude of these beneficiaries crippled the program. They neither helped themselves nor allowed others to benefit. We need to avoid that. I don't want to talk about incessant harassment of contractors, disruption of company activities, often for personal gains, even if you have genuine concerns, not doing such the right way. What happens? You drive away would-be investors and you leave the state or the region barren. So do you have integrity? What do people say about you behind your back? Because the easiest way to understand what integrity means is simply doing the right thing when no one is watching. If you are an honest person, please do not be discouraged, because today's Nigeria belongs to you. Someday you'll be identified and rewarded. And for those who are used to shortcuts, even if it appears there is success today, I can assure you that it will be short-lived. It was the former First Lady of the United States of America, Michelle Obama, who reminded us that we learned about honesty and integrity, that the truth matters, that you don't take shortcuts or play by your own set of rules, and success doesn't count unless you earn it fair and square. My last point. Do you know God? Are you Christ-like? That seems to be a very silly question to ask, especially given where I am. I'm sure that most of you engage in morning devotional. I do. Sometimes I miss a few days, but I go back and try to catch up. And I'm currently listening to the Bible in 1 year with commentary by Nikki and Piper Gumbel of HTP London. I found the Thursday, October 5, 2017 commentary with the title, "What is the Meaning of Life?" Worthy of sharing. It starts with the question, and I quote, "Does anyone know what we are living for?" And that question was asked by Freddie Mercury, the lead singer of Queen, in the lyrics of the last song on their album, Innuendo. Millions are implicitly asking just that question. Does anyone know what we are living for? There is this 31-year-old professional writer called Jonathan Gabe, who was facing employment challenges and stress, and actually hit rock bottom. And he began to ask questions about the meaning of life. But because he was a writer, he decided also to write to people from all walks of life. World leaders, homeless people, Oscar-winning actors, philosophers, comedians, taxi drivers, teachers, explorers, and prisoners who were on death row. He was asking them, what is the meaning of life? From their responses, he compiled a book. And let me just share with you some of the responses he got. From Richard Nixon, life is one crisis after another. And as I read these responses, I want you to personalize it, because you may be in that kind of situation, asking yourself the same question, what is the meaning of life? This is former US President Richard Nixon saying, life is one crisis after another. And boy, he had tons of crises. John Lennon said, life is what happens to you while you are busy making other plans. Dennis Jimenez, life is what you make it, and I can make it unbearable. Albert Einstein, the man who regards his life and that of his fellow creatures as meaningless, is not merely unhappy, but hardly fit for life. But there's one that came from the chief cashier of the Bank of England, Graham Kentfield, the guy who had the signature on all the currency notes. I am clear that the meaning of life can only be properly understood in the context of our relationship with God. The key is our relationship with God. Given that I'm in my state, where every street has at least a dozen churches, again, I should not be asking you this question. But the only thing that concerns me is that it would appear nothing has changed in our communities. Or in some cases, things are even getting worse. Despite the large number of churches and are professing to know God. When you go back home, go and Google some of the most successful countries in the world. Switzerland, Denmark, Finland, they have 1 or 2 dozen churches. Nigeria, the last time I checked, somebody actually threw up 2,300. I'm not talking of the branches or the satellites, registered Corporate Affairs Commission. My dear brothers and sisters, you see, the point I'm trying to make is this. Being religious is not the same thing as being Christ-like. I'm not a pastor, but if you go and read Psalm 119:10, which says, "With my whole heart I seek you. Let me not wander from your commandments." That is quite deep. While meeting God's commandments is a challenge, and I'm still personally work in progress, but there are a few things I've tried to internalize and do. In my almost 29 years in Mobile, one of the few things I do every time I step into the office is pray for the success of the company that has given me these numerous opportunities. Do you pray for where you are today? I have been diligent at my work. I have never stolen from the company, and I've done my best to abide by company policies. I recommend that you do same wherever you may find yourself. If you do otherwise, when you set business, they say what you sow, you will reap. And just be assured that God, who knows your heart, will always lead you in the right direction and reward you appropriately. In conclusion, my youths, do not despair and don't give up in spite of the things that may not be going well in their life or in the environment right now. Do not despair. As my good friend Mr. Demofort will always remind us, onward, upwards, nothing is impossible. God bless you.
Wow.
Grey hair wise one, fine technocrat, peerless legal practitioner, barrister, Udom Ino Iyo, Thank you very much. Very youthful participants of this noble occasion. One thing I drew from the many lessons engraved in that keynote address is the fact that many nations world over are absolutely successful, but the number of churches as opposed to the number we have here in Nigeria is significantly different. Therefore, the need for a deacon in him personally not to be too religious, like Paul the Apostle noted as well, that he is a tent maker, so that he will not be a burden to the church in Philippines. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm quite sure a word is enough for us. And let him who has ears hear what the Spirit is saying to the church through Pastor Udom Inoyo. Boy, I know again. Thank you very much, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen. At this juncture, I beg to also introduce a woman that will be working alongside me today in the job of talking and moderating this event, because we are gradually also heading into the very pivotal moment of this August occasion. She is a fine lady, a lady too, who is American and a Nigerian citizen. All right, she is a fine compere par excellence, and she's no other person than Mrs. Idomaset Ekwo. But may I invite her at this moment. Mrs. ID Ekwo, thank you very much. Just before she says hi to these participants and of course the noble resource persons here, please, may I also recognize the man that will be taking very good interviews with these resource persons immediately after they are through with the discussion we will be having later on here, who is also my producer, my mentor as well, Mr. Emmanuel Ayong. Please may he rise and take a bow. Thank you very much. All right, immediately after Mrs. ID Ekwo is done saying hi to the occasion or to the participants here today, of course, and also taking to introduce the person that will be constituting the panel that will be taking us into a round of discourse. Of course, the panel of discussants as well. Let me respectfully once again say that it's absolutely important that we imbibe the words of the elders, like that of a seasoned legal practitioner in Barrister Udom Inoyo. Thank you very much. Mrs. ID Ikwo, thank you very much. Your time is now.
Good afternoon. Is it afternoon already? Oh, it's still morning. I just want to say welcome to this conference, and open your hearts, open your mind, and see beyond just the speaking of all that the speakers would say today, so you can leave here with something. And having said that, I would invite the Governor CEO to come up here and introduce the discussion panel, the people that will be on the discussion panel for this morning session.
Thanks so very much, sir, for that wonderful keynote address. It's inspiring and thought-provoking. One of the things I like you to remember is that you grew up in our environment. You can relate with that environment. You can relate with Salvation Army Secondary School. You can relate with St. Patrick. So he didn't just come from the moon. He's a typical Akwa Ibom born person, and he has risen up to become who he is, and I'm sure those are the facts he has put before us. We want to get into a discussion session. Let me please welcome, recognize the presence of a man I respect so well. He's a retired permanent secretary of no mean repute, a man that did a lot of work for us and with us in the early days of royalty. Please help me make welcome Elder Namso Moren. Let me just stand there. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for coming. Before we get into discussion session, and that will be headed by, well, I'll just call them, then I'll just take a little time as a time break, because we are on live TV, at least to cover this first opening ceremonies. We'd like to thank His Excellency, the Governor, for graciously granting that AKBC TV will cover this event live. It shows his interest in the younger generation, and of course we heard the goodwill. And even though this is purely a private initiative, but has the support, and we can't thank him enough. Thank you so much, sir. And thank you, AKBC TV, the Director General, for being so gracious to us. We thank all our partners that have also made this to happen. We couldn't have done it without you. Thank you. I'd like to discuss this session, and it will be The panel will be seated here, and then there could be questions. People who have the microphones, you want to ask questions relating to the paper we've just heard, and you can ask. There's always the temptation of people veering off during discussion session to bring in things that are not related to the issue at hand. Please, we'd like us to be business-like and be entrepreneurial, and let's go straight to the points that we're discussing here. Let us not be tempted to bring in, I applied for a job in Mobile 10 years ago, they did not take me. Mobile will have a seminar, please. When they do that seminar, you ask them that question. That's not why Mr. Noyo is here. He has graciously allowed us this time because of his passion for the younger generation also. Please help me make welcome the chairman of this panel this morning, one of our facilitators, Mr. Idore Enena. Please let's put our hands together as we come. Please let's also bring to this podium as one of the discussants Dr. Emmanuel Abaseka. Let's put our hands together. Because we talked so much about the spiritual this morning, I'd like to invite Pastor Akomai to please come. And of course, I'd like to bring one of our sponsors to also participate in the discussion session. Help me make welcome the branch manager of Zenith Bank PLC, Mr. Callistus Onu. Before Mr. Inan sets the ball rolling, I'd like to just bring for 5 minutes a young woman that caught my attention. This is the daughter of one of the permanent secretaries in Akwa Ibom State, directly working in the government house. The father himself is a refined medical practitioner. The mother is a senior manager in the bank. But when I got, in the course of doing this work, I went to see the dad, and I picked a flyer on the table. It said, I saw lighting up the stage. So I asked the man, oh, do flyers come here too? I can send mine. He said, no, this is for my young daughter who has decided to follow her passion, just the way you're trying to make youths understand. And I said, what is this about? She said she read theater arts, and she wants to bring back theater and acting, stage acting, and she's redefined it, mixed it with some other things to get the youth to be interested. And I said, why would she do that? She said, because she doesn't want to do what we're doing. She wants to follow her dream, pursue her passion. And I did invite her to just come and share a few minutes with us on the event that she's planning, and maybe tell us why she's decided not to be a doctor or a banker and wants to do theater art. Please help me make welcome Idara Nathaniel Adiakpan, a graduate of theater arts from the University of New York. She takes just 5 minutes, then it will be time for us to take the discussion. We can clap better.
Good morning, everybody. First of all, I want to thank Pastor Umbo for this opportunity he has given to me to speak on this platform. I'm very grateful, sir. Thank you. All protocols duly observed.
My name is Idara Nathaniel Adiakwan. I head a group called TIC, the Idara's Creativity. I'm so surprised today that I can stand on this platform as a theater art student. Initially, it was as if theater artists are wayward people that want to study theater arts don't have what to do, people that want to study theater arts don't have a hope for the future. But here I am today, standing tall as a theater artist. To God be the glory. As we all know, we are in an era where the economy does not really favor everybody. That is why, as youth, we need to put in our time, our energy, even our little resources into proper use. Most people have dreams, they have ideas, but the driving force is not really there. And that is when procrastination sets in. We are youth, we are strong, we are vibrant. Gone are the days when they say we are the future leaders of tomorrow. Excuse me. The future is here, and it is in our place to take charge of it, to take hold of our future. On this note, I'm here to talk about Light Up the Stage. Light Up the Stage is an event that merges theater with music, comedy, and all forms of entertainment. I had this vision in my second year in the university. I studied theater arts in the University of Uyo. We see this situation whereby there are good theater cultures in other parts of the state. In Lagos, we have National Arts Theatre, we have in Calabar, we have in Ibadan, we have good theaters. And in those days, people were so interested in theater, in coming out to enjoy live performances. But nowadays, everybody's glued to the movies, everybody's glued to the internet. And I thought to myself, I can revive the culture of theater art in Akwa Ibom State. So this gave birth to Light Up the Stage. And we'll be having our maiden edition on the 27th of October 2017 at Emerald Event Center, Uyo. The red carpet is 3 p.m. Please, I want to urge all of us to please, together we can support, we can promote, we can revive the theater culture here in Akwa Ibom State. It will also help boost the entertainment industry in Akwa Ibom and also improve the tourism here in Akwa Ibom by bringing people together from all walks of life. Please, as I venture into this cause to revive the theater spirit here in Akwa Ibom State, I humbly ask that please you all support me. Thank you very much.
Please, let's put our hands together again for the elegant lady. Thank you. The governor is here.
Like I've always said, I'm the governor of rice and stew, but I enjoy it because it's a stomach infrastructure. Without the stomach, you can't really do anything. So if you can govern the stomach, you can govern everything else. It's now time for the discussion, and we're turning the microphone now to the panelists, and we trust Mr. Inam, who has done this very many times, to do justice to the paper and get ready with your questions. There will be those people in the t-shirts, they have the microphones. Maybe when we open up, you can ask questions. Let's all make it participatory. And after that, we'll take a short break and return to action. The next paper will really ignite you. It is Knowledge as Key Capital in Entrepreneurship. Dr. Emmanuel Abasekan, you need to listen to this UNIDO consultant. It's phenomenal. I ask you to just stay on. So let's put our hands together and introduce our panelists now. Are we clapping for them, please?
Thank you very much. Well, let me start by thanking the keynote speaker, Mr. Udominoyo, who also coincidentally is my mentor, big brother. It was nice listening to the other news, the one I'm not used to, and also to know that we're all work in progress. And also distinguished panel that I have with me, Pastor Akamoye, Mr. Kalisto, am I right? All right, thank you. And your distinguished selves, I think you need to give yourselves a round of applause. You can do better. You can do better. Thank you. Now, the theme of Mr. Noyo's speech was centered around igniting passion in youth for self-discovery and growth. And what was, for me, the linchpin of it was not just the definition of the youth, but the nuggets that I took out of it. And that will form, the crux of what I'll ask the panelists to kind of expand with their own view. And one of such was, failure can be an elixir for success. Because many times you find a lot of people do not talk about failures, they don't talk about the dark sides, they only want to paint the good sides. And people don't really know that these guys have gone through some things. The other thing he talked about was discipline. That at some point you need to lose your freedom. I thought that was very, very, very key. And of course the 3 factors that he adopted and he has also shared with us, the need to be honest with yourself, using the legendary Fela's track and how it pummeled, some fresh thinking into him, Shakara Oloje. And the question was, who are you? I'm of the opinion that leadership starts with the self. When you are a good self-leader, a good leader of self, you become a leader of others and later a leader of leaders. If you don't go through that process, then definitely when you become a leader of leaders, like we have most of our people in leadership today, they've never been good self-leaders and so they stumble. Every opportunity they have to either grow, they stumble because they missed it at the first step. That was very critical. The second one was, do you have integrity? And I like the way you put it. And I've always enjoyed that part of it when I speak, that integrity is who you are when nobody's watching. A lot of us bandit, that's a word that's banded everywhere. Integrity, integrity. Who are you when nobody's watching? And finally, you nailed it. Do you know God? Are you Christ-like? And the big question is, why do we have so many churches? Trust me, if this is enough, I know I have many pastors in the house and forum, and most distinguished Reverend Simeon Afolabi, who a man I have utmost respect for. Whenever I see him, I always talk about the 8th man. If you want to know about the 8th man, you can see me outside of here and I'll take you through the 8th man. But really, there's been so much about religion, and I think where it landed was being religious is not the same as being Christ-like. Because even Jesus himself came to abolish religion, but we've carried the whole together. Well, folks, this was, I just took the key nuggets, and I'm going to start from the middle. Because you probably were expecting, Mr. Callistus, that I'll start with Dr. Basiega. Being a banker of repute, and the whole notion of youthfulness, and the whole notion of failure being an elixir for success. What has been your experience so far, when you interact with the youth? Some lessons that they could take from that, and to say, what could they do differently?
Thank you very much. Before I start, permit me to just acknowledge the presence of the convener, my own mentor too. And by virtue of him being my mentor, it means that Utomi Noyo and Simeon Afolabi are my mentors, because they are his mentors. Okay, I think currently the society is very complex. Very complex in the sense that if you interact with the youth currently, you discover that there's a shift in value system, a shift in perception, and we're not going to sound very or too academic. We bring it to practice, to reality. And let me give an instance. I had a friend of mine, a childhood friend. He lives in Scotland. Aberdeen to be precise, and his siblings just see me as their elder brother. One of his siblings came to my house, and a young undergraduate, I discovered that he had like 3 phones. You know, some of them are big phones. And I was just watching him. My first perception is misplacement of priority. I was wondering what a student can do with 3 phones. You know, that money could be used for alternative things. It should be used even to enhance his academic portion. And I didn't want to scare him. We got discussing. And I told him that there are things that distract students. And I'm very certain. I say, as a student, if TV can be a distraction, especially in this part of the world, because if you have most of these facilities, you will have friends that you don't need. You have a car, your friends will not allow you to concentrate. They want you to take them to all the parties on campus. His response was very simple. He told me that that was then, not now. And coincidentally, I have a friend who is a very young lecturer. He graduated in the last 5 years. She had a first class, and she did all she could. She wanted to work in the corporate world, but the uncle, who is a medical doctor who trained her, insisted that she must work in the university. And she told me a story of how she came back to the university as a lecturer, and she and her friend are writing items, and they agreed that none of them must have a television in the house. A lecturer, first class graduate. This thing is happening. This story was told in 2016. And he said qualifying was delayed, and she just had to go and buy TV and install without telling her friend. Her friend coincidentally is also a lecturer, first class too. So when she visited her, she said, you breached our agreement. How come you went and bought a television even not without even informing her? She said, well, that she had waited for so long that she couldn't wait longer. She had to go and buy TV. So if a graduate of so many years is still trying to be disciplined, trying to make sacrifices, in order to achieve a feat, in order to achieve a target, it means that that young man was wrong. Because he said that was then. So the problem with youth now is misplacement of priority. Sometimes they go for what they don't actually need. Something that will prevent them, stop them from achieving the bigger goal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think I'll probably shift the gears a bit. Just listening to Mr. Callistus and what he said, distractions. And Dr. Basekan, when you look at the whole context of what the keynote speaker put in, I know he had touched on an aspect which had to do with being honest with yourself. So if you're going to build on what Callistus has said, how would you, from your lens, be able to take that projection and what kind of solutions would you put on the table for the teaming youth here? Because the keynote speaker said at that time we all had our own. There were things that were distractions. Today, social media is a big one. It's a mega distractor. How would you fashion some pathway in terms of solutions that they can latch on?
Thank you very much. I want to thank the convener and all of the mentors seated here. Very briefly, Mr. Callistus has really put it straight that there is a very big distraction there. I want to take a cue from what Mr. Inoyo said, particularly when he made mention of how he was distracted. You know, there were scenarios of the marijuana intake and all of that. But something happened because there was a very proficient fellow, the principal of the school, who took up a decision. That's the platform number one. We lack real mentors. And our youth too are not even ready, because I think he also had the willingness of coming under a forced mentorship at that point. I want to use that word forced because sometimes it had been against his will. But the man put his feet down that there should be a decisive activity to take him back to his thoughts. Yet he realized something. The second point is that after mentorship is that youth don't even realize that whatever we use today will expire very soon. The Bible states it very clearly, for what we have now have been, that which will be is. And there is no new thing under the sun. That's the truth in the book of Ecclesiastes. So if we are thinking that what we are using to facilitate our engagement within the public as social media, yes, we thank God for development. That sometimes these things are horizontal, and if we are going to make a difference, then we must set our pace for the vertical advancement. That means we are going to seek for self-realization, because he realized that there is a future set for him. The father, he made a statement, he said, the father was a good man. We have parents also who also want our children to do, right? The truth is, if he had not realized that there's a need for a bigger future, he would have not gone back to school, sit for the second wife to make his papers. There should be a self-realization. Our youth should come to a point that what we are using today will expire tomorrow. The third thing is this. He's talking about, he said something about you're not true to yourself. Sometimes we lie to ourselves because of our physicalities. And like the Bible rightly said, you know, when God sent Samuel to go and then set up an anointing for David, the first guy that came out was Elias. And the physicality deceived him, so he thought that is going to be the king. So many times as our friends appear before us, I have a young girl I invited to this meeting, and she said, all of what I see about her life is, let me follow what my friends are doing. At the point, I have bought books lined up for her to read. She's taking a cue of reading the books, and suddenly she discovered that most of her friends are no more needful. She doesn't need to go with them anymore. So the physicality she used to see, all of the morning wakes up, she will do selfie, all of that on the streets, right? The physicality, I'm talking about appearance. Yeah. So the deceitfulness of appearing good and all of that. Yeah. I sent her a picture of a monkey doing a selfie. Right? I said, if you're a monkey, then keep doing selfie. That changed her perspective, because I am looking at a future in her. The next thing I did, outside that physicality, is that I have a good contact with the parents. So I immediately sent message across to the parents. If your child is going to succeed tomorrow, then this is what I'm asking of her. We have to come to a point that our youth should be accountable. I like the introduction that the convener made about the young girl that presented an issue on theater. That the father said this and she's doing this. The courage to confront our youth today from a superior standpoint, from a superior background, because we will not correct the people we are doing the same thing they are doing. You don't have the moral right to correct someone that is doing what you are doing. So we should also present ourselves to our youth, whereby we are mentoring or leading with a superior background. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I think that puts it so well. I'm going to turn, once I get Pastor Kawai off, I'm going to turn to the audience if you have some questions too. Just write your questions, and there are ushers around. They're wearing yellow. If I can spot some of them. It'll just be 1, 2, 3. Trust me, if you start making a comment or you're going south, I'm just going to cut you off. All right? I'm just warning you ahead. Think through before you ask. Don't just jump up and pick up the mic and say, I want to speak. It's okay to speak. Well, my dear pastor, you know, you've heard the 2 panelists, and I know you're a leadership coach. If you're going to sum all of this in one pedestal, self-leadership, and I like where Dr. Basia had landed. When we look at self-leadership, to go through the gamut of leadership, one of the things that stands sure is responsibility. Responsibility comes when you know and have an understanding of where you're going, who you are, and what is expected of you. How would you frame, you know, taking a cue from what our honorable keynote speaker said, and how where he started from, the season of insignificance, and today, by the grace of God, in the season of dominion. How would you give them a pathway from a leadership standpoint that they can start putting as nuggets? What would be your point of view on that? Would like you to share your thoughts.
Thank you. Very briefly. I'm privileged to be here. Thank you very much, Sarah, for having me up here. I would say, first of all, if our young people are exposed to the right information, just like what's going on now, I believe that every one of us is under some kind of influence, positive or negative. But I have learned that we choose our influences and make ourselves available to the environment that can bring the influence, the kind of influence we've chosen to bear on our lives. So one, if they're exposed to the right information, it brings a mental tilt that creates an inclination towards the right direction. So one, there must be the right information. Information brings the ignition. That's what engages the ignition button. So the right information. Now with this information, people still need to choose. They have to decide. Because as a young man, for me at the age of 17, I got exposed to information and I made a decision. I know other people who were exposed to the same information, but they didn't necessarily decide that we're going to use it. So the right information, a personal decision to engage that information, a vision out of the information, and then sticking with the process, which is usually not interesting. You know, there are seasons of insignificance. These seasons are those formation times where you're not out there and people are applauding you and all of that. I mean, there are times to be just inside, reading the books and things that may not seem to make immediate sense, but in the process of time, I realized that you'll be paid for all the investments you've made in yourself, in your seasons of insignificance.
Very, very, very apt. Thank you very much. Thank you. And yeah, it's good to back. And this is really to those here and also that watching the television. You can see the entire solution of it after listening to and take notes from what the panelists have said. The point forward is about self-realization.
principal officer? That's my question. Thank you.
That's a very good one. And all right. So okay, let's do this, gentlemen. We have about 2 more guys, right? If I'm not mistaken, 2 more. Let us, so that we'll not lose track. I'll have the panelists that will all, chime on this. You can just take your seats, and nobody is joining again, please, so that we can just do justice to it. The first question was, I would like to, take that. How can one with a good business passion, with Bros Callisto, this one they come meet you. Little or no capital, make it. I mean, it would be nice to have your perspective on that.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we are going into finance proper here. And the mistake a lot of people make is to just think that if you need money, you go to the bank. Yes, if you have money in the bank, you can go and collect your money. In elementary finance, they talk about sources of capital. And capital is that money that you can use to start business. And that's why at this point, I want to once again appreciate my mentor, His Excellency, Pastor Umar Ena, for convening this conference. Because at the end of the day, you may have learned a lot. There are so many sources of capital to start a business. Bank credit is just one of them. As I'm sitting down here, I have friends, relations that have looked for a job for quite some time, and they could not get a job, even with my position. So it's actually bad around here. And I thought through it, and honestly, from my salary, I had to squeeze out money to give them to engage in business. So sources of capital, it could be from family sources, it could be from friends. Then if you have a good proposal, we have commercial banks, we have development banks, we also have some finance program from CBN and all of that. The last regime they talked about, you win. It's youth entrepreneurship program. And when you package your proposal and they find it worthy, they empower you. So talking about lack of information, I think from this, you can know that if you have a good idea, just believe in it, and you will have the capital. It could be from family, it could be from friends, it could be from your church, it could be from community. I know a lot of people even running some philanthropy. They help youth, to finance their business.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Thank you. One thing I need to put as an enabler, a lot of us talk about capital, but there's this C that is very key. That's character. If you do not have the right character, you can't access any of these sources because you'll be in doubt. Once there's a question mark over you, they will need answers. Be sure you'll be able to give the answers, like how, now, Dr. Basiakan, this man that talked about padlock, because we have 3 other guys, we just try and paste them. And he said knowledge is the panacea for success, and the key to success is knowledge. And his friend said to him, that the padlock has been changed. Now, I know that you're a doctor of repute. You'll be able to understand, what kind of padlock he's referring to. And maybe you will help him, come through the maze of padlockism.
Thank you very much. Well, that padlock, first of all, let me put it this way. He was asking about career.
Yes.
This is issues that has to do with career. there are three things about career exit. When you want to exit in career, first thing is that you have to have a product that is marketable before you exit your career. Meaning that that product is competitive, even more competitive than what you're doing. That's number one. Number two, it must be something that you have a passion for. Because when you don't have a passion for something, there's no point leaving where you are for that place. Three, there must be the need for you to leave. Do you know your environment? Now, it's going to be absurd and a total failure. It's going to be dead on arrival, leaving something that is producing for you to engage in something that you don't even know about. So knowledge is, by definition, is understanding you have for something that is going to create action for a deliverable for you in the future. So if you are going to take an action out of a paid job to somewhere you don't really know their processes. And that's why I said, first of all, you must in yourself have a product. You must have a product, and yourself must be the product. Number one. Number two, you must have a passion for something you are going out for. These are three keys to exit a job, which I know is part of things we've been dealing with. Yeah. Particularly, I had a scenario. I have a scenario I want to present here in Ghana. A guy was a medical doctor. He wanted to go and do farming. He said all of his friends are doing fish farming. And the first thing I asked him, do you have knowledge, sufficient knowledge about farming? Let's not go into fish farming. He said, I will hire a consultant. I said, okay, you need a measure of knowledge yourself, no matter the consultant you hire. Have a measure of knowledge of what you are going to be part of. So at the end of the day, he had to go for user market 2 training. That helped him develop activities, modalities about real farming processes. Not even talking about catfish farming. That is very big. Yeah. All right, so this guy, that padlock is about career and career exit. So I've just given you keys for you to go home and work on it. Yeah. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much. And I think the way I'll go, Pastor, do I swing to you to wrap this part, or let me take your other questions? And to the fellow that asked about the indicators to look out for to quit your job, trust me, I quit too many jobs, and probably when I'm taking my session, I can deal with that a bit. But one thing you need is knowledge. You must have the capacity. If you don't have it, don't quit. And if you quit, you become frost. Hunger will blow you. Let's put it the way it is. So who's next on the queue? So I'll just get quickly. Now we're running for broke. So the time.
Okay.
Your name.
My name is Honorable Stephen Nita, and my question is this. The title of this program attracts a lot of people, and most of the participants here have good ideas that can start an industry of any kind. That is the passion. But most times, when the passion is ignited, like sparking it up, some passion get out of control. For instance, the passion.
Go to your question, please.
My question is this: the passion for politics came, everybody went to politics. Passion for industry, everybody is rushing to industry. Passion for social media, now it is a problem. Now I'm asking, if we ignite this 1,000 industry in this hall, who will control the passion? And secondly, who will ensure the failure? Should you encounter failure? Because most times the society treats us as not doing well. When you encounter failure, they look at you as if you are worse than not even starting.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Stephen, next, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
My name is Mr. Memobong Atia.
Audience, please.
My name is Mr. Memobong Atia. Probably I'm not really going to ask questions, but I just want to throw a little light concerning what the lead speaker said. I want to say, sir, for all what we are talking about today, if we youth or anybody in business doesn't have discipline, all the things we are saying is going to go down the drain. He was talking about corruption being the key word in Nigeria and everywhere. So we see that corruption starts with us because we are not disciplined. We do things that we're not supposed to do. We get gratification, and we do things that which is away from our lifestyle. We want to, copy what people do. So that way, the corruption comes in. It comes in from us, not from anybody like we would say parties or political parties and the rest. No, it comes from us. So we should embrace what we call discipline in our life.
Thank you.
That will help us. Thank you very much.
Appreciate that. Last but not the least. Oh, that's all. Thank you. Okay. Well, now, Pastor, I'm going to swing to you. You had I should have asked the guy if he's an elected honorable. And if he is, I'll ask him some other questions. Because these days, when they carry that title, honorable, for me, I look at it twice. If they really know the meaning. But you had Stephen Ita talked about passion for politics, industry, social media. And he asked two questions. Who will control the passion? And who will ensure failure? I mean, thank God this is around leadership and self-leadership. So I think you can address this, and to some extent, you also could touch on the other gentleman, what Dr. Basia had said, and just more like a wrap-up on it.
Okay, very quickly.
Thank you.
First, passion is different from interest. You can have interest for business, have interest for things, but it's not the same as having passion. You can have passion for everything. Passion is potential specific. You can only have a passion for something you already have potential for. You cannot be ignited into experiencing something that was not already in you as a potential. So passion, genuine passion, is potential specific. So I can have passion for everything, no matter how much of everything I hear about. I can have interest for things, but I can only have genuine passion for what already is in me as a potential.
Thank you.
So, to that, in closing, passion cannot be concocted. Passion can only be discovered because it has to do with something already inside of you. Then the person who talked about ideas, like having ideas and not having money, I'll just add a little to what Mr. Callisto said. Research has shown that one of the problems of business people in Africa is greed. We don't like to enter into partnerships. People just conceive of an idea and there's this elusive experience that they have. You suddenly see yourself have the billions, the millions, and it looks like it's going to happen overnight. So they don't want to share their ideas. They don't want to work with people who already have knowledge or who have the finances. So they wait forever trying to raise money that may never be raised. Now, one, you can develop that idea, take it beyond the elusive stage and take it to commercial status by doing proper research and adding value to it. I also know that in partnership, your idea can be your equity contribution, as it were. So idea has money value. So you can bring your idea and attract people who are willing to bring the cash to implement. Then lastly on that too, be willing to earn a little, because people are always scared. Oh, if this person brings the money, he's going to make more profit. If you need to get that person on, and you earn just a little while you learn the ropes and get established and prepare for the future, it's good enough. And then my last contribution would be the padlock syndrome. You called it padlockism, and I just want to talk a little about that. He said, his friend said, knowledge is the key to success, but the padlock is change. I want to say we have to be careful about wrong ideologies. Sometimes we just pick, some of these things are now traveling like viruses. We just pick them up. It's not everything someone said that is right. You have to judge whatever is said against truth. Truth is a base for which to judge any kind of philosophy at all. So my understanding is what that friend is saying is that knowledge used to be the key to success, but not these days anymore. Yeah. And suggesting that you can cut corners and take other methodology to arriving at.
Absolutely.
Now, so genuine knowledge still produces genuine success if it is properly applied.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'll just add and then close. Knowledge adequate knowledge, good knowledge gives you a perspective. And that perspective is what drives a conviction. When you take that model at every point in time, you will always have an opinion and a perspective because your lens will be different. And you will also be able to engage in active listening. Active listening is an opportunity for you, to internalize what someone has said and take it off from there. But many of us just suck in anything we take, line and sinker, and we start running before we even know that we need to work. Well, on that note, I want to thank the panelists and a round of applause for them. And most respectfully, let me invite keynote speaker to come and wrap up your paper. I hope we've tried to dissect it, sir. It's just a wrap up. Please give him a round of applause to encourage him. Just a wrap up, sir, and then we will end this assembly.
I think the first thing to do is to thank the panelists, because at least it shows that they paid attention to me. You have done an excellent job. And also thank the audience. The questions were very personal, very genuine, so I sincerely thank you. If you did not have an opportunity to ask a question and you still bothered about something, feel free to scribble a note and pass it. I think in the course of the next 1.5 days, there should be an opportunity to respond to your issues. But in summary, this is what I would want you to go out with. The Nigerian environment, we all know, is volatile, extremely challenging, murky. Can say all sorts of things. But in reality, it's not an easy environment, especially for those who want to venture into business. But don't give up. As you continue to contemplate on your next line of action, I will offer two things. Number one, diligently seek out a mentor. There is a lot you can gain by having somebody that can share experiences or give you some guidance. So no matter what area of business you want to go into, find somebody you can talk to. Number two, you may say you don't have the expertise, the experience. You're not going to buy experience. A lot of us are quite lazy or probably don't understand the principles of volunteerism. If I want to get into a hotel business after my retirement from my primary job, I can set out a plan of action and begin to volunteer time in royalty hotels without looking for money. I will never forget the day this complex was launched, this business, this royalty hotel business was launched. During launch, he was carrying plates, serving people, picking glasses. I said, what kind of CEO is this? He was doing that. How many people in business would want to get their hands dirty? Everybody wants to be a CEO without working. I don't think you made a mistake to have come this morning. I wish you all the best. God bless.
Please put your hands together for Grey Hair Wise One as well as the panel of discussants. Thank you very much. Please let's give them another round of applause as they exit the stage. Thank you. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, special guests, invited resource persons, noble participants, and those who are joining us through the services of Akwa Ibom Broadcasting Corporation. If you are just joining us, of course, it's the first ever edition of Ignite, a program that is engineered through the noble creativity of Pastor Umar Eno towards enhancing the skills of prospective entrepreneurs in Akwa Ibom State and beyond. And we have gone far in the proceedings so far as well. And at this juncture, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, having assimilated the very many wealth of experiences shared with us, with men who have at least covered plenty of grasses, and of course to have seen many waters pass under the bridge concerning their career, I think it's pertinent at this point that I call on the curator and the man whose this mission is his brainchild to come here and give us a wrap of the session we just had. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Pastor Ubong Enoch. Thank you.
Thank you so much, MC. Let me thank very profoundly our guest speaker for today for sparing his very, very precious time to be here to speak to us. So you don't know how much you have encouraged me and indeed some of us here. You talked about having a mentor. Last week, you remember, very early in the morning, I got a call from you. That call changed a lot of things about what we're going through. And I'm just buttressing the fact that you need a mentor who can, when you're down, can just talk you up. We're going through some things. Honestly, that morning before your call came, I considered signing off, that I wasn't interested anymore because of the things I was going through, and I didn't feel that it made sense to me. But that call came and you said one word: royalty is a brand, defend it. That was just the word. So I remember you didn't speak for long and said royalty is a brand, defend it, don't give up. And that made sense to me. I took that word and sent it on our platform within the group, and my colleagues and staff know. I said to them, royalty. Excuse me. I said to them, royalty is a brand, defend it. And so we have to face the situation and try to change the perception. Because when people go away with that wrong perception, and if we have to exit from a position of strength. And so it's always good to have a mentor, someone you can talk with, someone you can discuss with, someone you must be truthful. So it's like having your doctor or a lawyer, and you're lying to the person, then it's not really going to help you. It's worked out for me many times in ministry. A lot of times I call my father-in-law, Reverend Sinan Afolabi, when I'm confronted with some issues, and he will laugh. And I'll be wondering, why is Daddy laughing? Why is he? This thing is so serious. Then he would just come and say, Governor, do this. And it's like, why did I think of it? So you need a mentor, somebody you must genuinely love to listen to, somebody you respect, that if he tells you, hold on, you can hold on. Now, talking about money, I like to say that money is the last thing you need to do business. Your ideas must be very, very clear. You must be convinced within yourself. There must be commitment on your part. Even there's what they call venture capital. You must build up some resources. No matter how wonderful your idea is, if you are not going to have your own commitment in it, nobody will come into it. When we started Royalty, and my wife is here seated, a lot of people remember, I lived in Lagos. I tell you what, I brought my dining table to Royalty from Lagos. I removed my chairs. I brought all the air conditioners in my home. And at one point my wife screamed and said, look, we have to pay this price. And when people see what you yourself have done, they will be willing to travel the road with you. You cannot say you want to do a business and you are driving around in a Jeep, you want to raise money. Now, the first thing will be, what have you put forward to show that you are committed? And people will know. We sold off 2 of our cars, and at a stage, we had only one little big started Toyota that we're using as a family, because we believed in what we're going into. And so if there's no commitment on your part, it's not enough to carry proposals. There are many proposals, friends. There's no idea that is new, like Pastor have said. But people want to see the test of, do you really believe in this thing? What's your own commitment? And when you have gone into a level, then people can listen to you. And of course, you have to build your capacity. Capacity building is important. Like Doctor said also, you cannot just want to get into something. When they give you money, these are people's money, and they will expect you to return it. So if you go into something, begin to save towards it. Let people see your commitment. And I believe if you do that sincerely, God will be able to open a door for you. I trust that these are some of the things that has worked for me and could work for anyone else. I want to say that we have come to the end of part 1, but while we still have the time, we want to go into the papers properly. The keynote address has been well delivered and discussed, but now let's get to the second paper very quickly so that we can have lunch thereafter. Knowledge as key capital to entrepreneurship. And that would address the question the young man asked. And to do justice to this paper and discussion and action and the kind of knowledge we get, not the MMM kind of knowledge, where they tell us you can earn 2 million naira in 1 month without going to work. That's not going to happen. And when anybody tells you that, I don't know how you believe it. Some of our youths are very lazy, to be honest. We are not willing to work, and we are not willing to do the menial jobs. I tell you the truth, friends, as an entrepreneur, I can tell you, the big money is in the small jobs. If you do the small things long enough, you accumulate funds. That's the truth. So this afternoon, please permit me to introduce Dr. Emmanuel Abasekan. Let's put our hands together and celebrate him as he comes up.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon all. I want to stand on the existing protocol. We could discuss a lot. If I were to take action right now, I will leave this place because the keynote address has completely galvanized situations for us to exit at this point. I want to tell you something about my life in 5 minutes before the slide gets on. Mr. Udom, you know, you're seated there, has been a mentor from a distance. The wonderful woman in his life, the wife, has been a great force of difference for my life. Some years back, I happened to meet that family. Every moment I meet with the wife, she will challenge me to look at my future. I came from a very humble background, might be not quite distant from Mr. Udom Inoyo's family. But I had a vision that one day where men sit to discuss issues that has to do with global difference, I will be part of that kind of a seat and a meeting. Somewhere along the line, I was growing up in my university days in the University of Cross River State then, left the University of Cross River State in 91. I read chemistry in my first degree. I entered 1987. 1987 December, to be very precise, in particular my birth date, which is 25th of December, I was initiated into the Buccaneer Confraternity. In 1988, I became the Capone because of the activities and my passion for changing any organization that I come into. And so for good 6 years after my graduation, I left that 1992. 6 years I was part of that confraternity, and in actuality, nothing shifted my ground about the dreams I had, even though I engaged in those clandestine activities and all of that. 1994, I went to Lagos. I worked with Western Atlas in Port Harcourt, and they transferred me to Lagos. My job ended, and everything came down. 1994 April, and I met a young man on the street. There is a pastor in Deeper Life Church, and he would want to share a message of Jesus to me. He became stupid, and I look at him as a very stupid person talking to me. Why are you addressing me? I'm looking for a job, and you're telling me about Jesus Christ. I didn't have any knowledge about that. And at that moment, I knew in my house I had a 24-round Beretta pistol, a skull and a scroll that I had as a kapun. You know, and we used to say Akabu Wiki and all of that. So, and Yaba College of Technology in Unila were my strongholds. So that night he met me, I went back. Something woke me up in the night and told me, if you do not do it by tomorrow, I'm taking you out. I said to myself, no. Who is the person speaking? By 6 a.m. in the morning, I was in the Empire. It was very close. That's where we buy the marijuana and then all those crystalline cocaine and all of that. We do the intravenous injections and all of that. That morning, I got to Empire to take my store. Behold, this is the man again. The man said to me, why are you looking for this early morning? I went for morning cry. Join me, let's go home and pray. And at that point, nobody would change that journey to his house. Because I know God has spoken. I went to his house, he laid his hands on me, on my shoulders, and prayed with me and said, go. I didn't want to go in. I stepped back. I said, I'm not going anywhere. Something is there, you sit here. I sat for 2 hours, I couldn't move. I was sweating profusely. And the only word I heard him say to me is, from today, you're a changed person. I have confessed Jesus. I left that meeting. I took him to where I lodged, somewhere after Empire, when we go to Yabate. One corner house like that, one kaput that left to do a PA for somebody in politics and all of that. He brought me there. And so when I got there, the man saw the place. The man said, hey, is that where you're staying? I said, yes, I said, no, come, you're going to die. This will kill me. I said, I have not experienced that because he didn't know my background, so I didn't want to make him more afraid of knowing me. So I took him to the inner room. I picked up my pistol, my skull, and all of that, and what we had harvested two nights ago, and went with him straight to Idaraba, where you have the teaching hospital. That big gully at Idaraba. I left those things inside to the water. All of the pistol, all of those things. I went back with the man. I told the man, I'm facing this way. I'm not going back. Left. And I tell you, that from that day till today, might have not been a perfect journey, but one decision I took in my life, I have ever had favor and changes because Jesus became the leadership of my life. I love the word Mr. Udeminoye used. He said, being religious is not Christ-like. And I told somebody some years ago that Jesus is not a Christian. And they didn't understand where I was coming from. Because Jesus himself was Christ. So how can he become a Christian? He wasn't his own disciple. So we are his disciples. So from today, that means that day I gave my life to Jesus. I knew that I'm going to be Christ-like. The journey might not be smooth, but the things that have happened in my life has brought me to this place. 10 years ago, things began to change to the glorious things in my life, inclusive of my finances, investments, and all of that. The reason being this, I made a prayer to God, and Lord, I am following you. Show me what I'm to do in life. I had a passion to change lives, and I don't have money. God took me through that journey, and presently, as I'm talking to you, I have partnerships with about not less than 7 international financial corporations and 2 World Bank appendages, the IFAD, the UNIDO, and I'm glad I'm part of that small cluster in Nigeria and West Africa. And it has helped me, and because of that, it created a transcending activity in my life that took me to the Harvard Executive class, education class, in 2014. and where I met people that changed me from this perspective that Akwa Ibom people have, which is part of this I'm going to share here. If you want to succeed, you must have a different set of people and must have a different spirit.
That's right.
You cannot change a generation without having a new spirit. Jesus had to change our spirit, gave us a new man, and the new man started walking. That's where we are today. Briefly, before my presentation come up, let me share this with you. I sat with a young lady. She said she has this passion to take the graduates out of this redundancy into a movement of making entrepreneurship development a visible one in Akwa Ibom State. And then she will take it to other states. I said, no, listen to me. What you are presenting to me is not what we could go with, but let me just take your video. So I looked at that video, and when I got to England last year, I met with one of the judges who are going to sit together. So we discussed that elaborately. When I came back, I discovered that she has taken the thing to Akwa Ibom State government, that government should come and fund the project. I told her that, listen, if you're going to succeed, why not drive your vision? Let the people see, because I learned from Robert Shkula, whatever wisdom you have, first of all, present yourself with that wisdom. Let investors come and see that and come. Don't beg people for greater opportunities. That connects me to the word, Mr. Domino. You said some years ago, I don't know whether he forgets that word, but he made a statement to me. He said, Emmanuel, in his living room, he said, Emmanuel, you are a bunch of intelligence, but you need a platform. So I hope you remember what you told me. He left me and went upstairs to his bedroom. He said, Emmanuel, you are a bunch of intelligence, but you need a platform. That challenged me. And I will make things happen for our generation if we are ready. So I want to show you a video. It might be amateurish, but there's something we're going to do developing that video. Please, let's have from that place. It's about the farmhouse, taking graduates and taking about 3 commodities that we can grow in 3 months. Let the guys go in and stay in that farmhouse for 3 months, grow the commodity. We will do market survey and then create a market entry step by step and sell those produce that they will grow in 3 months. And then after that, we will now look at which commodity has competitive advantage and the people have peculiar and precise business plan. We now look at investors in that environment and let them go on and do that farming in Akwa Ibom State. Just watch that video. And then, is it on? It's coming. Okay. It's the farmhouse project, please. Just watch out. I had to develop that. I went to Vika Farms. I know you know Vika Farms. I went to that video was shot in Vika Farms. Please just watch it. Get the mic. Get the mic.
Put it in your speaker. Put it in your speaker. Where's the speaker? It's in your speaker. Just put it in your speaker.
Housemates spending 90 days. Shut and to become one of the most secretive fathers. Every day, the housemates are giving tips. Weeks from shopping different pesticides, from vehicles to cultivating, now to mechanized methods. Working in hatchery to
It'll be a 1 minute video. It'll be a 1 minute video.
Feeding birds, picking
just to give us a challenge and a vision of what we can do.
Feeding the gentle rabbits. To getting close and feeding the pigs. The task for today is very simple.
will be planting the red kidney beans.
We have just 30 minutes to plant our red kidney beans. Are we ready to go? Let's hit the video!
Before now, what was the ambition of starting up something like this? I think I will just go into cassava plantation. You know, can we not get out of any self as hard, too crazy, everyday task? But I enjoy most of it.
The green thoughts, be like the worst experience, entering the swine, the stench. I couldn't stand it. Then I had to lift parts of feeds. It was crazy.
Good afternoon, husband. We are here in a vegetable shop. We grow vegetables and sell everywhere in Nigeria. But there is a problem because of post-harvest losses. If you look at the shop now, you see that it's untidy. So you're going to tidy the place, remove all the bad vegetables, and take them to the doorstep. Are you with me?
Good afternoon. Please, I think today. Now, the essence of that video is to give all of us the understanding that are basically commodities that we can grow in a very short, if we form clusters, development clusters. And then there are also financing institutions within the country and government schemes that can also aid that for us to get to the end of every farming season. So this is a video of 3 different sets of commodities we can grow in 3 months. The red kidney beans, the cucumber, and tomatoes in Akwa Ibom State. Now this project is not on yet. I wanted to, when I show you this, discuss with Royal to look at how Royal Group with you can make this program happen in Akwa Ibom State. That's #1 agenda we have in this program, and we're going to make it a. Let's get to slide 1, please. Let's continue. Now, my topic today is knowledge as key capital in entrepreneurship. Basically, we will discuss 5 key points, and it's not exhaustive, but it's a sure foundation to rise. And at the end, I will be glad making you, all of us seated here, think differently. I listened to the word of the keynote speaker, and he made mention of how he moved to the level he is in his job by reason of integrity. We will not be good entrepreneurs, not knowledge we have. We do not have internalized integrity. It has to come from our inside to affect the outside. It's an inside-out activity. Now, what's knowledge? What's knowledge? I know all of us spread across here, we have different perceptions about knowledge. But what's the knowledge that will bring the difference in this present day? This is Akwa Ibom State, and we're not having any other state here. This is Akwa Ibom State. And we have come to a critical moment that we will have build sustainable linkages. We will have to build sustainable programs. We will have to build sustainable network to make our ideas come to fruition, marketable. That guy that asked that question about knowledge, listen to this lecture, because I know a lot of people have information. We have a lot of knowledge, but what knowledge is working presently is going to make the difference. The difference we do as entrepreneurs. Let's get to the definition of knowledge. Let's get to knowledge first, please. The difference we get from our input as entrepreneurs is the kind of integrity, the character mobilization we have for ourselves. What is knowledge? Knowledge is the idea or understanding which an individual. Here, we might want to do a sole proprietorship. We want to do a business on our own, or we want to also work as an organization, as a business. So the understanding you as a person has, or a team possesses, that are used to take effective action to achieve the individual or team goal. That's knowledge. Whatever you know and does not create action in your life, it's not knowledge. Whatever you know and doesn't create an action, a mobility in you, is not knowledge. That's why you see people can steal, because it is knowledge, awareness that if I do a fast thing, I will succeed. That's knowledge. To action. The same thing is applicable to those who will want to do the right thing. And you know what? It's the same energy you spend in doing the wrong thing, is the same energy you spend doing the right thing. So that's understanding. That sets you into action. Let's go to the next slide. So I want to discuss this knowledge in 5 things. Number 1, have a real entrepreneurial SMART goals. I delivered this same message, this same lecture in Kenya. And after the meeting, when we did the discussion session, one guy stood up and said, "Sir, I want to do something in my community. Can you come to my community?" And I said, "No, this is just a pre-lecture. We need to do real training for you." He said, "Because what he is going to learn, what he learned from here, which you are going to learn, and the case studies we have here, will have to set your hands in investment." I got to his community and discovered this young man was raising well. And it was about 5 to 10, I could count it 5 to 10 cubicles, you know. So, and I said, "How much do you make from this well investment?" He said, "You can't tell me, because it's about passion, it's not about the money." And I said, "Please convert this passion to the commercialized passion, so that you can even return this in the next year." So, today, a group from Belgium are partnering with him. And they are using it, the well end for drug extractions and all of that. Thank God for that young man. It was a meeting, this same lecture you're going to hear today. Now, have a real entrepreneurial SMART goals, develop timeless entrepreneurial habits, willing to take action, grow your entrepreneurial superior knowledge, and then grow your entrepreneurial survival skill. Then we have some few case studies, 2 case studies. One is going to be a developmental plan that myself, this group, and all of us will set out to do immediately. It's like, you must have an entrepreneurial SMART goals. What shall be done to the man? I read from 1 Samuel chapter 7, verse 26 to 29. What shall be done to the man that killed this Philistine and takes away the reproach from Israel? Except you see your vision as making a difference and removing a reproach, creating advancement and a development for that community you live, it's never an entrepreneurship. It's never business. David saw something that was creating a problem for the children of Israel, and he said, "Is there not a cause? Let me rise to this challenge." There's something that is giving us a bad name before the Almighty. So what is giving us a bad name before the Akwa Ibom State itself? You have to develop these SMART goals, and they're going to come in. That SMART is an acronym. First of all, your goal must be specific. Specific. Every goal you have in your life, for your business development, for your future, must be precise. Know what you want to do. What is it that you want to do? David identified the Philistine, and he told Israel, there's a guy standing there, massive in height, all of that. And that's the guy I'm going to take out. Very specific. There are some of us in here, we want to do a lot of things. No. We don't want to do a lot of things. We want to do one thing. Jesus said, this one thing is needful. This just one thing is needful. This precise. This one thing is needful. And number two, your goal must be measurable. You can't control what isn't measured. What you have not measured, you can't control it. What does that mean? They are key performance indicators. Whatever you want to do, they are performance indicators that will tell you you are succeeding or you are failing. From the start, you will know whether you are failing or you are succeeding. If you set up to measure what you're doing. Number three, that goal must be achievable. Must be achievable. David knew he's going to take out Goliath and it's going to be achieved. When Goliath met him, he said to him, why do you come to me like this? Am I a dog? And David said, yes, you're really a dog. You just described yourself. I'm going to take you out. And so that was it. Achievable goals. They enable you make tasks that have the potential to complete. When your goals are not achievable, there are no potentialities that you will succeed. There will be an achievement. Number four, it must be realistic. Do you have a market size? That guy that asked the question, I want to exit my job. What market size do you have to exit your job to go into? What is your market size? You said information. Yeah, good. You must have information. And information can be analyzed anyhow. But the truth is that, do you have the market size? Do you know it? Who is going to take what you are bringing up? Your innovations, your produce, your product. Who is going to buy it from you? And at how much? What time? Frequency. Then do you have, what customer staff are you expected to have? The staff, the customers, your character, particularly your character. I'm coming by 6 o'clock, then you are there by 8. You fail. Alright? You must develop a character that will deliver on this project. And the strategic environment to make them realistic. The last one is that it must be time limited. You don't want to plan all through your life. Every plan must have a time. Set up a plan. I want to build a house. Set up your modalities to build a house. It's not going to be all through the year. If you set a plan for building a house, good. I want to do a business. Set a time frame for that business. I want to do this. There must be a time limit for what you want to do. Things don't exist forever. It's only with God that time remains. The second point is you have to develop entrepreneurial habits. The scripture says in 1 Timothy chapter 3 verse 4, he said the man that is able to rule well his own house. Some of us, you know, sometimes I listen to the question. Sorry, I'm not bothering you that asked that question. You see, some of us, we ask questions because we don't even have self-esteem. Some of the questions we ask, we don't even need to bring it out. We need to also compose ourselves. We need to know ourselves before we even ask questions. It is good we want to ask questions. What do you really want to ask? What do you want to ask? Not just saying anything. It is good because it's going to give results. Sometimes we don't prepare ourselves before we want to do something. How prepared are you? How do you even know yourself? Do you know that if I give you 50,000 naira today, you become a thief? That's the truth. If there are people that you give 100,000, they marry the next wife. Yeah, there are people you give them 100,000, they marry one shoe. Instances made about guys who have 3 calluses. Guys who have 3 folds. I ask myself, I see young girls on the street, They have expensive phones that their parents can't even afford the fuel in the car. Not able to change the tire. Not even dresses for them. But they have those kind of phones, 100,000, 150,000, 200,000 phones, 80,000, even 10,000 phones. There are some of us that don't even need to hold a phone that is as costly as 10,000. Here we want to be entrepreneurs. We want to be business guys. Now you must first of all rule your house. Rule your own house. What is that house? You. Be true to yourself. And ask yourself this question. Am I really going to do business? Because when he left Lagos, he brought his living room chairs and the center table. Sold the car, drove in only one car. And I can imagine his height and starlet. The size of this man and starlet. Alright? That's sacrifice. Be disciplined. Number one, you must be disciplined. These are key indicators that you're ready for business. You must be. Avoid anything that will compromise your integrity. So you can make very great contributions. You will never contribute anything to this community you live in or the people you are around with if you do not personally be a disciplined person. You're not a disciplined person. Avoid anything that will compromise your integrity. That's the first thing. I'm taking you from, this is what we call bottom-up process. Alright? Bottom-up process. Some of us, we want to come from the top. We are seeing our friends doing business, so we want to do business. We've not gone through the process. The process for any development. You know, globalization is different from technological development. Do you know that? Silicon Valley is producing technology development. China is doing globalization because the people of what Silicon Valley brings up and they duplicate it across the world. And it's called globalization. There is no difference. And that's what we call perfect competition. In the market, we call it perfect competition. So everybody's competing to get everything, but you know you must make a difference. And it's only discipline, being a disciplined person that can make a difference. And that's why you see those guys in Boston. They have clusters in Boston. I was privy to enter to visit one cluster in Boston. That guys, you see, young men, 18, 20, was a research visit. 20. These guys said some of them said they have slept there for the past 2 weeks. They don't go to their own house. They only have a backpack with their iMac. With all of that, all they do is that they are trying to develop from one product to the other. One of them is just named in the facial iPhone. I saw the name scripted in this facial iPhone now, iPhone 8. So that's what they do. Discipline. Can you stay in one room for 1 month and you don't move out? You're thinking about how you're going to set up your modalities to develop a product that's going to change the entirety of this state. You will want to see your guy. You want to see your friend. Let's go. Let's be disciplined. Number 2, get the most out of each day. Time is so precious. Don't waste it. Give yourself a self-improvement plan. I did it to myself. It helped me. There's this particular virtue I needed to get out of, to get myself involved, work with that virtue in life, which is I don't want to fail. And I clearly, if you don't want to fail, discipline yourself, start growing this virtue that's going to take you there. Part of it is that do the things you can do, leave the consequences to God. I don't run around for things. Let us do the things one at a time. It's a great virtue. Don't becloud yourself with so many things. Alright? It's a discipline. Focus on specific virtue that you value to maximize the amount of productivity you get out of each day. Don't waste that day. Next slide. Possess a strong mindset. The biggest barrier to success is psychological. Companies that start business crash and born in their first 18 months. Why? Why? That's just the answer. There's no strong mindset. Nobody's persisting. Everybody's running away. Thank God, sir, you persisted. And we are having Royal Group today. Persistence, perseverance. Resist the temptations that come your way to be distracted. Let's say it's land. With zero barriers to information, you can access anything today. Is it possible? Is it true? You can access anything today. With zero barriers to information, make reading and acquiring new knowledge a central part of your self-enrichment strategy. Let me ask you a question. Sorry, I'm not in position harassing you. How many books have you read in the past 1 week? Books. Just you're gonna give me. All right. Sorry. How many books have you read the past 1 week? Now, if I'm doing this random sampling, you discover that I will get 80% of guys who don't read. Sorry, I'm a research fellow, so I know what I'm saying. If you do random sampling of people that have intelligence, there are people that read. And if you do it, you discover that 80% of people wake up to pray to God. That one is an abandoned activity. I'm talking about you reading what will enrich you. How much have you spent in the last 1 month in putting books in place that will take to the business you are planning for your life? Hello? And that's why when I walk up to the CBN in Calabar, as I sat back with the Development Finance Office, when they were saying this one, I was saying, where are you coming from? That's why I'm here. That's why I'm the consultant. That's why I'm in charge of this project. That's why I have to know that I have to grow a little more than what the guidelines say so that we can succeed together. Yes, there's stipulated guidelines, but there's something you must know. And where did it come from? The experience I've had from going around the West African sub-region, the experience also I've had from the books I read and people I work with concerning that particular project. We only, young people today, we're talking about changing our self-esteem mentality. We work with people that don't add value to us daily. We spend our time with such people. I got a property in Uyo. It took me 1 year to put it in. I sleep on the floor. It took me 6 months to buy a chair. When people come, they'll sit with me on the floor. You wouldn't become convenient next time. You know the reason? I don't want people. When I come to your place, give me this place. Let's go. Be willing to take action. People say that's a third point. Be willing to take action. Third point. What feed us here until we die? And they arose at the twilight to the camp of the Assyrians. Those were the lepers. They told themselves, why do we sit here still and we will die? Two things will happen. Let us advance and die there and sit here, or we go, we survive and bring back good news. I was the greatest expedition. I went to be them in a leper, cloistered in a community and abandoned. And we just died there. But for today, we know better. And we're not going to sit down here and die. Let me tell you what that means. Listen, you're going to decide from today, redefine yourself, that you're not going to allow yourself to become a big guy anymore. You're not going to allow yourself to be undermined anymore. You will have to go back home, set yourself in order, and say, it must change. It begins with me. Not the change of Nigeria. Now, first of all, you have to, in that point, you have to deal with the fear factor. We are the creative force of our own lives. We are not the victim of circumstances. God made us in His nature. So, first of all, the Bible says in 1 John that fear has torment. But perfect love casts away fear. You know what? That word love is, you don't talk about agape, you don't talk about association, it's talk about the passion you have for your thing. When you have a passion, when there is a passion for something about your life, then fear goes. Fear vanishes. What do you love? Deal with the fear factor. Number one, do your homework and prepare yourself. Research, fall in love with your validated ideas. There are some ideas that are not valid or validated. Sometimes you tell someone, I want to do something. First of all, look at it. If you do crowd examination, you know, you discover that you will have about 70% from the crowd that tells you it's not right, but few tells you it's right. And if you want to go